Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Monday, April 24th. Before we get into the news, please remember to like this video, share your views in the comments, and share the video with your family and friends.
Teach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
Now for the news in detail. The three cops who were convicted for killing 16-year-old student Vanessa Kirkland had their convictions and sentences quashed by the Court of Appeals on Monday. Andrew Wayne Smith, Dervin Hales and Anna K. Bailey walked free after a panel of three judges pointed to several errors by the Supreme Court judge who presided over the murder trial. The three were convicted of manslaughter in 2019 and sentenced to 14 years in prison. The cops, who were assigned to the then Mobile Reserve, were arrested and charged with murder and wounding with intent, following a ruling from the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Immaculate Conception High School student was shot and killed on March 20, 2012 on Norman Lane in Kingston 13, about 9 p.m. The prosecution led evidence during the trial that the cops drove onto Norman Lane in Kingston on the night in question and fired on a blue Suzuki Swift motorcar that was parked along the roadway. Kirkland and 6 other occupants who were inside the car were shot. The teenager subsequently died. Lawyers who represented the policemen had argued that they were acting in self-defense when they discharged their weapons. They maintained that they were searching for the vehicle after they were alerted that occupants of the car had robbed a man of his cell phone. The cops said they were fired on by 2 men inside the car. Following their convictions, the police filed an appeal. They argued, among other things, that the sentence was manifestly excessive. Police in Clarendon are seeking the public's help in locating 2 delivery men who mysteriously disappeared in the parish on Friday, April 21st. The missing men have been identified as 23-year-old Shane Bryan, otherwise known as Blacks, of Treadlight District, Clarendon, and 29-year-old Richie Jackson of Bucks Avenue in Maypen. Reports from the Maypen police had that on Friday, April 21st, both men who operate in the Maypen area met at a popular location in the town. They left on a motorcycle headed for York District in Clarendon. None of the men have been heard from since. Anyone with information that they believe can help the police in locating these 2 men are being asked to contact the Maypen police at 876-986-2208 or the police emergency 119 number. The St. James police have commenced their investigation into the circumstances surrounding the shooting death of an elderly jerk chicken vendor in Montego Bay early on Sunday morning. The deceased has been identified as 64-year-old David Gordon, otherwise called Dave, who is of a Barnett Lane, Montego Bay address. Reports are that about 5:45 a.m., the police were summoned by citizens who reported hearing a barrage of shots coming from the direction of Howard Cook Boulevard. Upon the arrival of the police, Gordon was seen lying face down in a pool of blood along the roadway with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his head. The scene was processed and the body removed to the morgue. A motive for the killing has not yet been established. Investigators say a gang conflict in Seaview Gardens led to Friday's attack on a public passenger bus along Spanish Town Road, in which 7 people were shot. One of the victims, a 13-year-old student, is in critical condition. It is reported that about 2:30 in the afternoon, the bus stopped at the intersection of Spanish Town Road and the entrance to Seaview Gardens to pick up passengers when 2 armed men opened fire on a man who was about to enter the vehicle. Deputy Superintendent Coolidge Minto, Operations Officer for the St. Andrew South Police Division, told reporters that 3 children were among those shot. He said passengers were entering the bus when 2 men on the outside fired shots indiscriminately at persons inside the bus. The Senate has appointed a select committee to review 3 crucial pieces of legislation to impose stricter penalties for murder. They are the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Act of 2023, the Offences Against Persons Amendment Act of 2023, and the Child Care and Protection Amendment Act of 2023. Committee members who were named during Friday's sitting of the Upper House will sit jointly with a similar committee appointed by the House of Representatives to consider and report on the bills. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce and Deputy Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Albin Hill, moved a motion in the Upper House. Tabling the bills in the House of Representatives in February of 2023, The Justice Minister explained that the government is looking to increase the mandatory minimum sentences for murder to ensure greater alignment between the sentencing regimes governing serious crimes and the public's expectation of the justice system. The possibility of the imposition of a more punitive sentence will go a long way in preserving the credibility of Jamaica's justice system in the eyes of individuals traumatized by the untimely death of their loved ones, the minister noted. Chuck said the Prime Minister and the government are determined to curb the level of violence in the country and, in particular, reduce the number of murders, noting that all measures will be used. An 8-year-old boy who was reported missing on Friday was found dead hours later in a car in Burnt, Savannah, Westmoreland. The deceased has been identified as O'Dane Hill. Hill is believed to have died as a result of suffocation. Reports from the police are that Hill was left in the company of a family friend on Thursday when he went missing. Checks made to locate him proved futile, and on Friday about 9 a.m. he was reported missing at the Morgansbridge police station. About 4:32 p.m. later that day, a mechanic in the community was at his home when he discovered the motionless body of Hill in the driver's seat inside a 1998 grey Toyota Corolla motor car, which is under repair. The police were summoned. No marks of violence were observed on the child's body. Hill was subsequently transported to the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations are ongoing. The Urban Development Corporation UDC has ordered the immediate temporary closure of Reach Falls, one of Portland's premier tourist attractions, as a result of a fish kill. The UDC said that evidence is suggesting that poisonous chemicals were used in the river to catch fish and crayfish, which resulted in a fish kill that has caused an unbearable stench at the attraction. The UDC stated that large numbers of dead fish and crayfish were spotted on Saturday and Sunday, which triggered the move to close the attraction as a precautionary measure. Commenting on the closure, Mayor of Port Antonio, Paul Thompson, said it will adversely affect the vendors whose livelihoods have been disrupted. According to Thompson, this could create undue hardships for the vendors and their families, having already gone through the ravages of the global COVID-19 pandemic. The two Guyanese women who were arrested on April 4 for attempting to smuggle 21 pounds of cocaine out of Jamaica pleaded guilty in the St. James Parish Court on Friday and were sentenced to 10 months in prison. 21-year-old nail technician Oshara Moses and 27-year-old chef Abiki Moses, both of Georgetown, Guyana, were also ordered to pay a combined fine of $3 million or spend an additional 6 months in prison by presiding judge Sasha Marie Ashley. The women pleaded guilty to possession of, dealing in, and attempting to export cocaine. They pleaded not guilty to the charge of conspiracy to export cocaine, after which a no evidence motion was entered by the prosecution in relation to that charge. They were fined $1 million or 6 months imprisonment for possession of cocaine and $500,000 or 6 months for attempting to export cocaine. If the fines are not paid, the custodial sentences are to run consecutively, meaning the women will spend 16 months behind bars. The women were arrested and charged after the cocaine, which has a street value of $120 million, was found in their possession while they were making final preparation to board a flight destined for London, England. The father, who allegedly stabbed his 17-year-old daughter, Shadiku Calvert, to death in Kingston on February 4, has been charged with murder. He is 39-year-old Terence Calvert, a factory worker of Barry Street in Kingston. The Elliston Road police say about 1:10 a.m. a dispute developed between the father and the daughter when a knife was used to inflict a wound to Shadiki's chest. She was taken to hospital where she died while receiving treatment. Calvert was arrested at hospital where he was taken after he was found unconscious with his throat and both wrists slashed on April 4. He was treated while under police guard and charged after a question and answer session. Retired butcher 79-year-old Cecil MacDonald has been charged with the murder of his wife Yvette on April 15th in St. Catherine. The retired nurse was allegedly chopped to death at their home in Azar Lane, Bogwalk in St. Catherine. The police allege that Cecil attacked his wife with a machete inside a bathroom about 2 a.m. He was held on the scene following the incident. MacDonald was charged on Saturday. His court date is being finalized. In business, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett says 1.4 million cruise ship passengers are expected to arrive on Jamaican shores in 2023. The tourism minister says the country saw approximately 855,000 visitors in 2022. Minister Bartlett praised the cruise ship industry for the rebound it made following the losses suffered due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The minister says discussions with major cruise line executives revealed that Jamaica remains a highly desired destination on their lists. Mr. Bartlett says Royal Caribbean International has committed to helping Jamaica reach its projected passenger numbers, while simultaneously increasing its training partnership with the Caribbean Maritime University. This agreement was made during the 28th Annual Florida Caribbean Cruise Association Conference held in the Dominican Republic in 2022. Minister Bartlett says the ministry is considering having a second vessel home port in Port Royal, following an increase in pre- and post-cruise extension visits. In the region, Guyana and India on Saturday signed an air services agreement to facilitate direct flights between both countries. This means that Guyanese-owned airlines will have direct market access to international airports in Mumbai, New Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. Currently, there is no direct flight between Guyana and India. However, this agreement puts in place the legal framework that opens market access for airlines of both states to operate and enhance competitive air transport services, trade, and economic growth. On the international scene, Kenyan President William Ruto said Monday that the starvation deaths of dozens of followers of a pastor in the south of the country is akin to terrorism. He said the pastor, Paul Mackenzie, who is in police custody, belongs to jail and not to any religion. Mr. Mackenzie pretends and postures as a pastor, when in fact he is a terrible criminal, Ruto said. Mackenzie was arrested on suspicion of telling his followers to fast to death in order to meet Jesus. A group of emaciated people were rescued alive, but some later died. Authorities then turned their attention to dozens of apparent shallow graves on Mackenzie's land. The total death toll now stands at 73. And in sports, Jamaica's Shericka Jackson stormed to a world-leading time of 10.82 seconds to win the 100 meter at the Velocity Fest 13 meet at the National Stadium in Kingston on Saturday. Jackson, who started off her 100 meter campaign last year with 11 seconds, also set a new meet record and erased American Alia Hobbs' world lead of 10.89 seconds, set at the LSU Alumni Gold 2023 just hours earlier. And that is it for your news roundup for today. We would appreciate you liking this video, leaving a comment and sharing the video with your family and your friends. Have a good evening and see you next time.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!